Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Align and Thrive, Live Your Truth. It's Rosalie Dodonna here with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 actionable steps that you can take when you're in a transition period in your life. So, this is for people who feel like they've felt stuck for a while, who might feel stagnant, who know that their old path is no longer aligned and they know they're stepping into this new chapter of their life and this new way of being. So, there might be some resistance to this new chapter, and some people might even be like, I'm ready for it, but it's not arrived yet. So what do we do in this period of, seeing that the past way of being is no longer working, but also maybe not entirely clear about how we should step forth in this new direction, because it's new, right? It's unknown, and for some people that might feel scary, it's unfamiliar. So it makes sense why so many people feel a certain way that's not always exciting, and maybe a little more nervous or hesitant when they're stepping into this new way of being, because it's not always effortless and easy for the majority of us. So if this is you and you need help with this transition, let's get right into it. Number one, you can name what is no longer aligned with the current version of you and who you are becoming. So, when you do this, taking a look at what's no longer aligned does not need to come with judgment. Because what happens is sometimes when we know an old aspect of ourselves or our way of being is not working anymore, we identify what it is, but then we place a lot of energy in the place of judgment over it. Like, oh, I can't believe I used to do that, or that, like, as and then it starts creating this energy of um you know ja- judgment, lack, maybe a little victim mentality as well. So when something stops working, you know, sometimes we want to overanalyze it and think, well, what went wrong and why did I do that? And then judge us like I was a failure and all these things that come with it that are very much in the mental plane. But when you can reflect on your past self, reflect on your past life, and hold the awareness that yes, it's no longer in alignment, although sit with the truth that yes, it's no longer in alignment, although it served its purpose. I'm in this new season of my life, this new phase of my life. That old phase is complete, and now I release it. So just me describing the difference in between the two, you can sense and feel the energy behind, the first aspect where we're judging ourselves, we're overanalyzing, we're questioning. And that's not setting us, that's us creating more of that experience in our life instead of, the latter, which is recognizing it for what it was, accepting and appreciating and being grateful that we went through that phase of our lives, and then releasing it because we know we're stepping into something new and different. Um, and in that way, it really honors the wholeness of who you are without having to cut out or shame or guilt yourself over what has happened in the past. Um, Yeah, and in that sense, when you do that with those kinds of energies, with judgment, shame, guilt, that's another way that we leak energy, that we give all this energy to something we don't want to create. So try just again becoming aware of what those things are, releasing them with grace, releasing them with forgiveness and appreciation for what they taught you and how far they've brought you and where you've arrived now in this present moment. So again, take inventory, write down things that might feel heavy or repetitive or stagnant and just disconnected from the current version of you and who you are in this moment. And again, release them without judgment, just acknowledgement and appreciation. Number two, interrupt the pattern of immediate replacement. This is interesting because in our culture, if something is over or if we're kind of done with something, especially because we have all these, technology at our fingertips, like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm gonna toss it, get a new one, replace it with something better, upgraded version. And we're conditioned to just like replace things at a very fast pace. Um, but in the sense of your life and this journey that you're on, sometimes moving that quickly can be out of a place of survival. Like, I need to hurry up, but before something new escapes me that's better. And, there's just some frantic energy with this, not always, but with this way of like, okay, out with the old, in with the new, quick, 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 right? Um, so when you're aligning, instead, allow the space to come between your chapters, between in this transition of your life. And I think again in our fast-paced culture, we're so used to just okay, next, okay, now, immediate gratification, right? Instead, try honor the space in between those transitions, those chapters, right? And see this pause as not just a way of waiting passively, as if, just waiting for something to happen. Realize that it's really a preparation. It's a period where um, it's active waiting. So that makes sense. You're not just waiting around, like waiting for something to fall from the sky and hoping to get what you want, right? It's a very active choice to wait with presence and awareness, and humbleness in order to wait for what is meant to come through. There's a difference, right? So in this transition period of letting go of the old and stepping into the new, practice pausing, practice not planning, not having to fix things right away, practice slowing down, letting go of rushing, and just invite stillness into your life. Listen to the silence, journal, meditate, pray, and let your nervous system kind of detox and release that sense of urgency of, oh my gosh, the old is done. Now I have to move on to the next thing. What am I doing? Just feel that difference in energy, right? Um, as again, in this fast-paced culture, I feel like many of us are so used to, I don't know if it's because I live in the city too, in Los Angeles, everyone's just like, go, 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 honking the horns, stomping on their gas pedal, and checking things off their list and exercising, in the gym. And it just, especially during a transition in your life where you're letting go of the old and stepping into something new and creating something new and becoming something new, really slow down and allow wisdom to emerge from that silence, from that space. So again, it's not a sense of waiting as in I'm waiting for my life to happen for me. It's waiting actively with presence and awareness and faith that what is meant to come through for you is going to come through. And when the answer does arrive, you'll know it's time to take the next step, right? So, um, number three, recalibrate using the body, not just your mind. Our body has so much wisdom that I feel like some of us are losing sight of because we're so fixated on the mental plane of, you know, learning all the things, executing on all the plans, absorbing all the knowledge. And there's a lot of wisdom in the body, and your body has a lot of answers within it that we sometimes miss, right? So when you're stepping into this next version of you and this next version of your life, pay attention to what your body feels like when you're making new decisions, right? And you know, is your body soft? Is it tense? Is it are there certain pains or constriction in your body, and where is it? And ask your body for the wisdom that it has to share why it's feeling that way. What does it need? Where does it come from? And just slowing down and tuning into your um, bodily sensations will help guide you a lot farther than just rushing through taking all this action into a new way of being and hoping that gets you somewhere. When you slow down, you really speed up because, with your body as this compass to help you move forward, you're going to be a lot more deliberate and intentional with your action when it comes from this wisdom, your intuition speaks through your body as well. And when you use that intuition and that wisdom to make your choices moving forward, then those are going to be the most aligned actions that you take, as opposed to just taking any action and hoping that it's the right one. It's really a way to empower yourself and realize this doesn't have to be a guessing game. This doesn't have to be a copy what that person is doing. It can really be an empowering way to move when you have faith and understanding that you do have the answers within you, and hold yourself in that regard and with that reverence that I'm so highly valuable, and I have this direct connection to source, and I'm, unique in my own soul blueprint, that I'm going to look within for what the answers are for me. And then again, it really requires slowing down, tuning in, um, being in quiet. And the more that you practice being in this way, the easier it becomes. And you'll realize, again, this transitionary period, this um, active waiting period, is really, again, preparation and fortification in your spirit, because while you're being still, you're recalibrating to the truth of you and what it sounds like and feels like in your body. So when you do return to the busyness of life, the noise of the city, to all the voices that are telling you who you should be, you remember who you are, and you know what your soul and your body is telling you, and you act accordingly. So yeah, again, I feel like when we can reframe this season of our life, or this step in our life of, oh, I'm waiting around and not much is happening, and is it even gonna happen for me? And really just hold it with, see it as precious and as a time that is is to be held with the same intention and awareness that you give every other aspect of your life, and maybe even more, because how you embody this presence of who you are in this space is really going to set the tone and the energy for what you're stepping into next in the next chapter of your life. All right. Number 4, strengthen your capacity to be with the unknown. I love it. The unknown. When you hear the word the unknown, what tune into your energy in your body. What does it feel like? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel scary? Do you feel nervous, or just tune into that. What does it feel like? And we have to realize the unknown isn't our enemy. Sometimes when we hear the word the unknown, we think scary. I don't know what that is, or there's something lurking in the shadows, or you know whatever it might be. But really, the unknown is this place where your new self gets formed. You're in this, a lot of people call it the void, or I like to see it as the space of awareness, where where you're tapped into the unlimited potential of who we really are. And most people want to rush through this part because it doesn't feel, it might not feel safe in your nervous system. It might feel dangerous because it doesn't feel like you're in control. Um, and you might want to just rush past this and then continue on to the next thing. But the real change happens in this place of the unknown, right? You, um, when you step into this, again, this transition where you're leaving certain things back there in the past, and you're not sure what's coming next in the future. You might, you have your desires and your hopes and your dreams, but you're not exactly sure how everything is going to pan out moving forward. You're in this, um, the sense of the unknown. So instead of having the fear of, oh my gosh, is it going to happen? Or I don't know what it's going to look like, or what if it doesn't happen? So maybe I should just go back there and do what I used to do. There, you can see how there can be a lot of dissonance and unease because you're not really at that, you're not really embodying that frequency of that new way of being. But you also know you don't fit in the old aspect anymore because when you go back there, it also feels like, ugh, not good, right? So when you're in this in between place, feel comfortable with that unknown feeling and release. I love saying release 3 times. Release. Release the need to know. Just take a deep breath. Release the need to know and deepen your capacity for trust, surrender, and faith in what is coming next, what is unfolding within you and around you. And just release it with your breath and feel the tension leave your body and allow, the divine, the universe, God, to fill up your cup, to fill you up and show you what's coming, or show you what it's going to feel like for when you're becoming that next thing. Because what happens is we don't see in the physical that next version of our life, right? We just see the gap in between of where we were and now how we are and what we are becoming. It's not in the physical realm yet, but if we are uneasy in the unknown, in the act of waiting, and the presence and the awareness and that connection with source, we're going to create, if we're waiting in this scared sense of, I don't know what's coming next, and maybe it's never going to happen. And you might end up creating, and you will end up creating more instances that reflect that emotion to you. And then what you desire to create will always be out of reach because you're embodying the version or that frequency of you who is terrified of having it. So why would you have it? You're not going to have it, right? So again, strengthen your capacity to sit with the unknown and recognize that that is your full sitting in that unknown space. To me, I can just feel like I just can tap into it, and it just, to me, it feels like full presence and awareness of who I am, and it feels like full connection to all that's possible at my fingertips. And it feels like knowing that anything is possible and that magic does happen. And but to be, in my own experience, it didn't always feel that way. It always, because I was the kind of person, and maybe a lot of you are too, who can resonate with this. I know a lot of people struggle with this, is wanting to control everything and wanting to know how everything is going to turn out. And I know I'm speaking for myself, but for maybe many of you too, who this comes from, it's like a trauma response, right? Because of having so much insecurity at such a young age, and wanting to always control my outcomes and wanting to control everything, my environment, the way I look, all this stuff, and then also wanting to control what's happening next because it was so scary to not know. Um, and now I realize the unknown is really a beautiful place. And I can I can only say that with confidence now and with full faith and trust because of my rediscovered connection with source, with God. And in that in transition in that waiting period, um that's like the perfect time. That's the time you are rediscovering and deepening that relationship with the divine. Um and so when you are in this active waiting phase, you can truly release the control, right? Because when you truly release the control, it's not that you don't desire anymore. You still have the desires in your heart, and God knows what those desires are because God is the one that placed them there in us. And we can sit with our desires more peacefully, more lovingly, with more presence and awareness, and accept them fully. Because if we're sitting in the unknown, scared and not sure of how things are going to turn out, and wanting to clutch onto things so tightly, we can't receive those desires. We're not open to receiving. We're so clutched so tightly that they cannot be placed in our hands, right? So, um, for a lot of us, it might seem counterintuitive. It's like, what? I have to release control? Like, shouldn't I be working harder and doing more and um, in order to have that thing? And it's actually the complete opposite. It's actually when you understand who you are at this deep soul level and you allow yourself to be and allow yourself to love and live and create and receive, it comes a lot more effortlessly because you're operating from that person and that place and that frequency of somebody who already has it, who knows it's on its way, as opposed to someone who fears they won't have it. Then you will continue to act from that place of someone who fears they won't have it and then not have it. um, so it's just, yeah, it's just, it's hard. I feel like hopefully I did a good job of explaining that. Um, but yeah, let me see. Sorry, I went off on a way tangent on that one, but that one is really near and dear to me because I know what it feels like to want to and need to know everything from a place of just fear, constant fear and um, worry about and anxiety and just it's such a fearful way of being. And I'm so happy now that I have the surrender and the trust and the faith to truly relax and allow whatever's meant for me to come and be created in my life. Um, okay, number 5, act from the identity you're growing into, not the one that you're shedding, the old version of you. And this is this one's fine because a lot of people want to or people think, oh, I have to be, fully ready to step into that next version, and I can't do that yet until this happens or that happens. Um, but again, even though we're in that waiting period, it doesn't need to be passive. It can be active, right? You can be actively waiting. So for example, if let's see, look tuning into that version of you that you are becoming and that you're visioning for yourself, what would she be doing, right? And then begin to do and act in those ways. So for example, when I wanted to start my business, I, I visioned the future version of me that had a business, a spiritual business that doing what I do now. And I thought, how would she be acting? What kind of decisions would she be making? And how does that align with where I am right now? And, I was on the right path, although I did notice that I was very fearful still about taking actions in my business and taking the next steps and showing up in a very visible way online. So what I did was I started showing up. I realized, the future version of me has this business, a successful business who she loves what she does and she helps people with their spirituality, all this stuff, and she shows up in this way. So, you know, me in the present moment just started taking action in that way. It wasn't perfect. I still felt unconfident. It was still a little scary, but I knew that's what the direction I was heading in, and I had the faith and the trust that um, this was the first actionable step in the right direction. And I knew with enough practice, as with anything, and learning of skills, that I could do it, that I could reach that version of myself. Um, and I still remember when I was started taking those actions in my business, and I kept, I was tuning in and asking for signs and talking to God, and the message I kept getting was, "You're already doing it." You know, I kept wanting like, "Oh, I want this business. I want to help people. I want to all this stuff, these expectations," and the message that I kept getting was, "You're already doing it." So when you're in the active waiting period and have, the vision of who you're becoming in your mind's eye, and you're taking action in the present moment, tell yourself you're already doing it. You're already her. You're already them, right? You're already doing it. It's already on its way. Um so, you can ask, what would the version of me who trusts God, honors herself, and walks in that form of power, what would she do today? What would she tell me to do today? And even those small steps in that right direction will take. Um, yeah, I guess in that one too, if it might feel like a lot, you can just pick like one area of your life and choose to embody and do actionable steps in that specific area. So for me, in that sense, it was my business. And then once I started taking actions there, a little bit later on, I started doing that same thing with my fitness or with my health and the way I eat. And um, you don't have to take it all on at once because that can be overwhelming. And um, I feel like, and it's just honestly, the small shifts and change in one area of your life will affect the other areas. And um, before you know it, you're that person. You're already doing it. You're already her, right? And then it just becomes this act of creation of, okay, well, what do I get to create next? Who am I evolving into next? And it's just this beautiful expression of you and your soul. And just like a flower or a tree or plant that grows, you continue to grow and flourish and multiply and give fruit, and just I think it's really beautiful. And when we give ourselves that, allow ourselves that, release the pressure of what we should be and how we should act, and everything needs to be perfect now, um, realize that this is just a free flow and free form of expression. And just like with clay, you can mold it into anything. You continue to create and change your life and transform in new ways. And that's what makes it exciting and fun, right? Um, okay, let's see. So, again, if you're in the space of no longer being in the past and no longer living from that outdated version of yourself, but you're not yet in that becoming, or you're not yet in that stage of who you see yourself as later on, no need to rush, right? You don't need to rush. You don't need to assume something's wrong with you because none of this is familiar and it might feel a little weird. Um, the path, that you're on is shifting, and just hold on to your truth and hold steady to that truth. Um, and hopefully these 5 steps help you along that path, because I know it's not easy at times, but just know that, slow down and hold that feeling of who you are becoming and who you already are stepping into being. hold that in your body, in your mind, in your heart, and your soul, and allow that to lead you. And remember to create the space um, to listen to your own inner guidance and your knowing and your own connection with Source and with God, and be open to what it's telling you is the next right step for you. Um, yeah, so I hope this helped. As always, if you need any help along or support along your journey, feel free to message me. And because I do support with one on one coaching, I also do Reiki sound healing. And I would love to support you on your journey. But everyone, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.